FastCast TV. I'm currently on what must be like my 15th rewatch of Scrubs. I have come across, after that many watchings, I think I've decided what are my two favorite episodes. And those episodes come in season 5, and they are entitled My Lunch and My Fallen Idol. And I'll tell you why I think they're my favorite. In earlier seasons, in particular in season 1, there's a really fantastic episode where, JD starts off by saying, they say 1 out of 3 people in this hospital will die, and then you track 3 stories, and you're trying to figure out the whole time which one's gonna die, and then they all die, which is ballsy for a sitcom, and it brings tears. Then they've got the episodes where Jordan's brother, Dr. Cox's brother-in-law, played by Brendan Fraser, gets leukemia and dies, and then there's this whole incident at Owl Creek Ridge bit. But these two, I think, are better than even those. My Lunch has us tracking a patient we've seen before, Jill Tracy, who has been in the hospital a couple of times, usually for depression-related situations. Every time they kind of figure out that she had suicidal thoughts and things like that. And in this episode, there are 3 patients waiting for transplants. Jill Tracy comes into the hospital from an apparent overdose. And so they act immediately and do the transplants, only to find out that she died of rabies, which means that these 3 patients are now basically all been given a death sentence. 2 of which were probably going to die by the end of, a couple days anyway, but 1 who was actually pretty healthy. And what's important about this episode is that it throws Dr. Cox into a tailspin. And the second episode is the fallout. He ends up basically losing it, coming to work drunk, and the whole team sort of bands together to try and sort of pull him out of it. And what I think is so great is that this is a 2-parter. It's not billed as a 2-parter, but this is a 2-parter that could only happen at this point in the series. For this to hit and be as good as it is, you have to not only know all the characters, you have to know their relationships to one another, you have to understand how important it is to JD what Dr. Cox has done, you have to understand how important it is to Dr. Cox what JD tries to do for him, and in understanding them, you have to understand just how meaningful it is when Dr. Cox calls JD, because he almost never does. And the fact is that Scrubs threads a needle that very few other shows are even capable of doing. And that is being laugh out loud, uproariously funny, but having a heart that makes the comedy worth it. A show that's just funny all the time gets pretty boring after a while. But a show like Scrubs, where deep tragedy on a personal level is what makes the comedy important. And I was reminded of that again when I was watching through these episodes last night. It really is one of my favorite shows of all time, I think.
And so at the end of the day, I guess that's what happens when you take a really fantastic production team, a writing staff that knows what they're doing, and a bunch of actors who really know their characters. I guess it'll always be an A to me.
So that's Scrubs, my 2 favorite episodes. FastCast TV, see ya! Hey, thanks for watching the FastCast. If you like what I do here, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. You can also follow me on Twitter at Mr. J Handle, and check back because I do this a couple times every week. FastCast!